going on, guys? Welcome back to AriesEDC and another maker space. So we are live, and I got a fun one today because we get to do a Meet the Maker, and we are meeting Adam Thomas with Goose Creek Knives. I have pinned his link to his website to the chat, and we're going to be talking with him here in just a second. We're going to be introducing him and bringing him all. But you guys are awesome. Thank you for coming in. As you come in, make sure you have subscribed to the channel and you're hitting that like button and joining in on the conversation. Let me just say a quick hello to everybody before we bring Adam in. Kathleen, how are you? I hope you are doing well. Jim Miller. Dom, what's going on, man? Those folders are looking pretty awesome. Trouble Bunny, what's going on? Do we know if all's well after the vet visit? The cat that went to the vet, we're still having some issues. She's getting medicine every day, but on the upturn. So we hope she's feeling well or better. Thank you very much, Trouble Bunny. Tim Bushy, what's going on, Tim B? I hope you're doing well. Kelly, good evening. Heather, what's going on? I hope you're feeling better. I hope you're feeling better. Marco, what's going on, Marco? All right, everybody's popping in. Rory, what's going on? Wee Pocket Fiddler, what's going on, man? I hope you are all doing well. As everybody's popping in, I am going to introduce you to Adam Thomas with Goose Creek Knives. What's going on, Adam? How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm good, man. So the first time I met you was last year at the Gator Show. And I was like walking around and I was like, geez, that was like, I got to your table and I was just kind of like, wow. So, and then to see you again this year, I was excited about that because number one, I got to see you. And then I knew afterwards I had started doing these Meet the Makers, and I wanted to make sure I grabbed your information so that I can get you on and introduce people to your work, because what you're doing, if you guys haven't checked out Goose Creek Knives, go to the website. He has some stuff, and he has his Instagram and Facebook, Facebook mostly, but he has pictures of his work, guys. Just amazing stuff. So I just wanted to introduce everybody to your work, and hopefully people can pick up one of your amazing works of art, because people say that I am an artist, and I'm like, no. Because the stuff that you are doing is absolutely beautiful. I just have to say that. So right off the bat, my hat is off to you, my friend. You are just killing it. So, and I want to make sure I put you out in front of as many people as possible. So we'll hopefully get a good crowd in here tonight. So
yeah, well, I appreciate that.
Well, before we get, yeah, no, go ahead, Tim B. Thanks for dropping that link. I have his link to the website pinned at the top of the chat too, guys, so you guys can check that out. Before we get into, because I want to ask where this all started and everything else, but before we get into it, I'm going to share your website, because I have the slideshow going on your website. So I just want to share that, if that's okay with you. I'm just going to share these pictures of the beautiful, like that one. Didn't that one win the Gator Show Best Knife competition or something last year? This Bowie with the killer guard on it.
Yeah, I entered that one last year. It didn't win, but I did enter that one.
Yeah, that thing is with the mosaic Damascus and the Hamon is just yeah, or San Mai. What was it? That's a San Mai mosaic.
It's Damascus. Yep, that's right. And actually, I have to give credit to Adam DeVille. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but he makes some really cool Damascus.
Yeah. Yep. So that was his. That's absolute. But whether you made the Damascus or not, that is absolutely beautiful. So, guys, this is the stuff that we're talking about with Goose Creek Knives. Just amazing. The feather Damascus is absolutely ridiculous. The pommel work is amazing. So, I mean, look at that. The hormones, that's what I want to talk to you about. Because at the show, when I see the hormones on those things, that's just absolutely beautiful the way that you do that. So, um, that's just a little taste, guys, of the work that this guy does. So, it's just absolutely beautiful. This is not beginner work. No, this is not beginner work. This is definitely not. Con's Blades, he makes folders, custom
Okay.
folders, just out of his garage, no major mills or anything else, just, the regular stuff you might find. So he does some good stuff. But yeah. All right. So I guess we need to start from the beginning. Why knives? What got you into making knives and starting this journey of craziness?
So, as most guys, I think as a kid, that was just something that I gravitated to was knives. I had a box full of them. And as I got older, for one reason or another, I decided that I wanted a handmade fillet knife. And so I visited the store in Pigeon Forge. Oh shoot, name of it slipping my mind now. But anyway, I went to that store and
Smoky Mountain Knife Works.
There you go, Smoky Mountain Knife Works.
Smoky Mountain, yeah.
That's it. And I actually found this knife. It's a fairly simple stainless steel fillet knife. And when I got home, I just looked at it and I thought, I think I could make that. And that's how I got started.
Really? It was just that simple, huh?
It was that simple. And I bought a 4x36 sander and a bandsaw and a drill press and started making knives.
That's crazy. And like, were you how old were you at this point?
So this was in 2017. So I've been making knives for about 9 years now. Yep.
Okay.
And that's how it started.
That's funny. It's a little bit different story than some people. Well, not really. I've heard the story where I was hunting and none of the knives really worked for me, so I decided I want to make my own knife, and that's kind of how it started. But did you start with the forging right away, or did that come later?
No, that came later. And just since we're talking about it, this is actually my first knife. It's very ugly, but it kind of got me going.
There you go. Hold it up again. Let's see it. I'll show off my first knife.
Yeah,
I do it all the time.
It is gnarly.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
Just kind of looking for a challenge or a hobby. I've hunted and fished and those sort of things my whole life, and just looking for something else, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, like that was my first.
Well, that's way better than mine.
Big chunk of 440C, and like 3/16 stock. But I just did stock removal on that, and it's rough. Micarta, and I even put liners in it. And I don't know what I was thinking, but I got into it in a different way than most people. But yeah, so most people do. They feel like they want a specific knife for something, and they're pretty good with their hands or whatever. And then it's like, okay, I'm just gonna start. I want to start doing it, and they do a little bit of research, and you're like, okay. So after that knife, because I know what it was like after I finished my first knife. Did it like sink in with you that you were like, okay, I did that, and I know if I do it again, it'll be better. I know all the things. I know all the ways that I can improve to do that again. And is that how it kind of like that's what happened with me? Like I made that first knife, and then I was like, okay, I'm done with this, but I know I can do so much better. I want to do this again.
Oh, for
Is
sure.
that kind of how it happened with you?
For sure. And then, you go on some of the Facebook groups and just do a little research online, and you just see these amazing knives that people make and what's possible, and it's like, yeah, that's what I want to do, but there's a journey to get there, and so I mean, from there I read the $50 knife. It's a book. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it's basically about how to make a knife for not a lot of money.
Yep.
Watch some YouTube videos and Bladesmithing for Beginners is a Facebook group that I'm still a part of, and
that's awesome.
So you get feedback from other people about what works and what doesn't, and it just grows from there.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing about the community is there's so many people out there that are willing to help.
That definitely.
Yeah. When you started this journey, did you have somebody that you kind of reached out to and helped you along the way? You could ask questions to?
Not so much, really, if I had questions, the Facebook groups is where it went back to. But my favorite knife maker is Peter Kohler. I don't know if you're familiar with him. And honestly, if you look at some of my knives are kind of based on some of his work. I don't know. There was a particular knife, and I don't have a picture of it or anything, but he still has it on his website that I just thought, man, that is a beautiful knife, and I hope I can make something like that one day.
Yeah. Dom says he's in that group, but you ain't no bigger beginner.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's fun to post stuff sometimes, and then a lot of times guys will see it and they'll ask questions, and then I get a chance to help some of the guys, the upcoming guys that that I was in the same situation with early on. Yeah, it's just like returning the favor, basically.
Of course. Yeah, Byron, come on, buddy, get in it. You got all those things. Get the cabinets out of there. He makes cabinets, but
okay.
He's like, I'll start making knives now. That's fun. Dom, he's located in Georgia, southeast Georgia.
Jessup, Georgia.
So Jessup, southeast Georgia is where he's located. That's awesome. That's kind of the same for me. I didn't really have, I had some community of friends that I could reach out to and ask, but I wouldn't say I had one particular person that I could go to their, actually, I've never been to another knife maker's shop and watched them work and gotten, I don't have a mentor in that way. I've asked friends questions on how they've done things and been inspired by their work. But I wouldn't say I had like mentors. I've had people that helped me along, definitely helped me along the way, ask all the questions and pick their brain about things. And I still do. I still have a good group of people that, I wish, and I need to create more time to go visit some people and how they do things. And because the more you do that, I think you grow. Is that something that you have tried to do, is go visit other makers and how they have their shop set up or how they do things?
A little bit, but honestly, a lot of it is the most enjoyable thing to me about knife making is the challenge of figuring it out yourself. I like to look at pictures and see things, and when I see it, I think I need to figure out how to do that. And so that's what I spend my time doing, is figuring out how to do some of the stuff that I see.
That is totally true, because you'll run into something, whether it's you want to create this one thing or work with the product or create a shape, or while you're working on something, you run into a problem and you're like, okay, wait, how can I fix this? Or how can I salvage this? Because I get that all the time, where it'll be like, okay, let me take a step back. How can I salvage this and make it right, or pivot and try to do something else? But yeah,
sure.
and I think that's the biggest thing. It's like, okay, when you make your first one, that breaks down a lot of boundaries where you're like, okay, I've done it. I actually can do it now, because that's what happened with me. And I'll ask this at the end of you. If that bug caught you, and then that just being able to create a finished product that you can use, and
Yes.
it
Yes.
filled whatever that need, whether it was a fillet knife or something else. And then you did it, and then you can use it, and you're enjoying it, and then you're like, the amount of fulfillment that I got from creating that blade, and that's just driven me to make so many other things that, and then try to share that with my channel here. Is what I try to do, is I try to just share as much information. I mean, I'm not an expert. I have definitely not an expert of anything, but I just try to share some techniques and things to somebody who might be getting started, that make them a little bit easier to have the information, at least to do that. When did the smithing come into play?
It's about 3 or 4 years ago. You know, I'd always kind of thought that would be the next natural step for me anyway. Was to start forging, and I wanted to learn how to make Damascus. Was a big thing. You know, you guys watch Forged in Fire, and you see what they're doing, and it's like the next challenge is kind of the way that I looked at it, and so that's just kind of where it went.
Yeah, and that's a whole nother rabbit hole when you're trying to start to do Damascus, especially if you're trying to do it by yourself without really anybody helping, and starting to layer the steel, and you have to have the forge and the anvil and all these other things, or something. You don't have to have an anvil, but you have to have something to hammer on, and you have to have hammers, and you have to have all the things. We have a buddy here in the community, Burning Stable Forge. I don't know if you've heard of him.
Okay.
You know Clayton? He's a crazy cat. Yeah, where's Clayton for this? Exactly, Don. So he'll usually pop in here at some point in time, because he's doing all the things that you're doing with making Damascus and doing that. But I know you work with mono steels as well. What's some of your favorite steels to work with?
So usually, if I'm making a mono steel knife, it's W2 is my favorite steel to work with. I do use ADCRV2 occasionally, but usually that's if I'm making some Goode. Rarely do I use it on my mono steel knives. Usually it's W2.
W2. Is there a reason why? You're freezing up on me. Oh no. Did we lose you? Oh no, we lost him. There he is. He's back.
Yep. Sorry. I don't know where I ended.
W2. Why W2?
So you mentioned the Haman lines a little while ago, and W2 typically makes one of the best Hamans.
Okay.
You know, the randomness sometimes is, and they're not totally random because they're kind of following the pattern of the clay that you're putting on the knife. But random pattern Damascus, some of the randomness that you see in the Hamans is what I really enjoy.
Yeah, and I want to share the site again, because that was one thing that I loved about looking at your work again. You have your Damascus, but this is what I'm talking about. Like when you get this crazy Haman, and I know that you could talk to us about how you do it. Well, that is absolutely ridiculous, but that's San Mai, isn't it?
Yeah, that's Goode.
That's your Goode. It's with go ahead.
Yeah. Now I was going to say, I have been corrected myself a few times. I called it San Mai, and I was corrected that it's actually Goode because it's not 3 layers, it's 5.
Okay. Yeah, because you have the what is the brightness? That's
it kind of on the in between the two layers.
Yeah, what's that line? That's
it's just it's nickel. It's a nickel shim.
That's what it is. Nickel. Yeah, nickel. Because then you have the kumai, which is the copper.
Right.
But like something like that. Is that gomai as well?
That's gomai also. Yeah, the picture doesn't show the nickel on that one quite as clearly, but
this is like that's your W2 and
W2
and the Homon.
Yep. And I actually have one out here, and I had this one at the show, but this is probably the best Hamon that I've done that came out almost just like I put it on the blade.
Jeez.
And the other side's a little different, but
well, yeah.
But it came out really nice.
Yeah, that is absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. It's W2 and 1095 it's a water quench steel. Are you water quenching?
You can water quench it supposedly. So I tried that one time, and I think there's a method to it where you water quench for like 3 seconds and then you oil quench it. The time that I tried it, I just water quenched it and it cracked the crap out of it. I said, I'm never doing that again. It's like all that time that you spent getting it to that point and you just trash it. So I haven't taken that risk since.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's just safer to just oil quench and just be done with that. Yeah. What's up, Donnie? What's up, man? Laser Ghost Knives is a custom folder maker as well. So, yeah, the Homons that he does on his stuff is sick. So let's talk a little bit about that. So what I know is you're taking your blade and before you're quenching it, you're covering the spine and maybe part of this blade with a clay. What do you, is that correct? And what's the process of that?
So what I normally do is forge the blade to rough shape. I go through my heat treat cycles to where I'm shrinking the grain structure, and then I rough grind the bevels. And what I have found is if you go ahead and grind before you add the clay and before you quench, grind it fairly close to what the finished thickness will be.
Okay.
The Hamon tends to come out a little bit better.
So you're not going full, but you're getting like 75% there, or maybe a little bit more.
Or even a little more.
Really?
You know, there's a fine line there. If you get the edge too thin and you quench it, it's going to warp the edge.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to play with it and find that, you know, that point where it's just right.
But the closest you can get to final grind when you're putting the clay on, that's where you're going to get the best Hamon line to be able to buff that out, and when you finish grinding it, because it does sink into the steel a little bit, right? Is that what basically, because of the heat?
It is. It will, but W2 is a little bit of a shallow hardening steel, and so if you leave it too thick, by the time you grind it down to your finished bevels, you will have ground out a lot of the detail from what would have been the Hamon.
Okay, that's so fascinating. What clay are you using?
So let's see. So this I bought from Pop's Knife Supply.
Okay,
and this is what I've been using. You don't have to put it on real thick. I just use a little 5/32 piece of brass, and I just, you know, I hate to give you an exact number of how thick it is, but I see a lot of times guys put it on really thick and then it ends up a little bit too close to the edge. So you just have to kind of play with it and figure out what works. But
Okay.
I don't put mine on very thick, but I also grind, like I mentioned, before I quench, I grind it fairly close to the finished thickness.
Yeah. Very cool. So, and then you have that on, and then when you do the final quench, that's when, and then you just clean it up the blade and then go to the final grinding. Do you etch it at all to get the, you have to etch it to get the hamon a little bit, right?
Yep, that's right. And you have to test it a few times because if you leave a little piece of decarb on it, it'll come out as kind of white looking and doesn't etch like it's supposed to. So, yeah. So like I mentioned, if you get it close to the final grind before you heat treat, hopefully if you do it right, you don't have to use a real aggressive belt grit to finish it.
Well, that is always the hope, because then you got to clean all that up after the fact.
Yeah, and then you grind off your hamon line. You grind off the detail. So
yeah, that makes sense. That is pretty cool. I'll take that balance point changes for each steel type one might use for the process. Yeah, I would assume if you're using a different steel, then the process is going to change just a little bit. So that's kind of cool. And that's why most makers, they stick with one steel. They stick with one or two steels, and they don't really, because they've dialed in exactly how they want that blade to look. And so then that makes sense. Good question, Dom. Do you do your own sheaths?
I do not. I make so I do a little bit of stock removal. And so this is one of my stock removal knives, and I did do the sheath on this, the Kydex stuff. But for some reason, I cannot make myself get into the leather work. It's just not my thing. I'd just rather be making a knife.
I am there with you.
Yeah. So
I have tried. So I'm stock removal, but I have tried leather, and it just seemed like a ton of work, and I wasn't happy with the outcome, and I was very turned off by working with the leather. And we have a couple leather workers in the chat right now, or at least one, and my hat goes off to them because I just can't do it. So I 100% stick with my Kydex as my go-to when I'm doing a knife. So 100% Kydex here, but I'm also stock removal and doing that. But I would. So you have a leather worker that you work with for that?
I do. I have a gentleman, Tony Watford, in South Carolina, and I've used him for the last probably 5 years or so. I'll send him a batch of knives. He'll make sheaths and he'll send them back to me.
That's awesome. That is amazing. And just so if anybody was interested in, do you have, I guess Facebook and the website are two ways to get in touch with Adam if you're looking to see what's available, and to get a knife from him, you're going to be doing that. Oh, here we go. See, it's going to happen. I'm going to sit you down and teach you to make a leather sheath one day. All right, Trouble Bunny. We'll see. Well, oh, Miss Holly, I could listen to Adam talk all day. I'm swooning over his voice. So you actually know Corey Holly was at the Gator show. That's his wife. So
yep. Yeah, I've met them last year and at the Blade show. So I go to the Gator knife show and the Blade show in June.
Okay, there you go. So you're going to be at Atlanta?
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. I can't wait. I'm going to be at Atlanta. I'm going with them. It's going to be a crazy trip. It's going to be my first Atlanta Blade show. Okay. So I'm going to have to make sure I add you to the people that I need to go do. There's Corey. There it is. There's Corey. What's going on, Corey? He's staying busy. I already know he's busy. He's always pumping something out, man. He just can't stop.
know the feeling.
Yeah, I can't wait to see you guys do. What is a time frame on you when it comes to a knife? Are you making like one at a time, or are you doing small batches? Just curious how you do that.
I usually just do one at a time. I say that. So usually what I do is I will forge at least 2 to shape and heat treat two because you're running that oven and it's using a lot of power and you don't want, you think about efficiency, and so at least 2 at the time as far as the heat treat goes, but then they go up here on the magnet and then I pull one at the time to actually work them and finish them.
Okay. And are you doing your own Damascus, or you are doing your own Damascus, or you're buying the Damascus, or
a little bit of both? Yeah. I mentioned Adam DeVille's name earlier. He's the only person that I buy Damascus from. So if I buy it, it's from him. Otherwise, I make it.
You're making it. And what as of right now, what is the next pattern you're going for?
So the Atlanta Knife Show last year, I made a pretty complicated crosses and it's like crosses and X's pattern. If you go on you'd have to go on my Facebook page, and it's actually it's like the main picture at the top of my page.
All right.
And so
I don't have Facebook, so I'm not going to be able to see it.
Yeah, it's okay. So, but that knife, I actually made enough steel to make 2 of those billets, and I cut off the other half, and it's still sitting up here on my shelf. So I want to make another one of those. Is kind of my next Damascus plan.
Okay. But you're just making, but you can do all kind of different pattern Damascus, raindrop, ladder, whatever. So, and is it something that you just do, or do people get custom works?
A little bit of both. If you ask me what, if I'm just in the shop and I just want to make some Damascus, it'll be random pattern. I like random pattern because you don't know what you're going to get. It's just, I don't know. That's what's fun to me.
And what steels do you normally go with when you're doing your Damascus?
It's 1084 and 15 and 20.
Okay, so
almost always. Every now and then I do use ADC RV2 and 15 and 20.
Yeah, is that something like you would do as like a core, or you just actually layer it in?
No, it just layer it in.
All right, because I've seen it that way too, where you have the Damascus and then they'll do an ADC RV2 core with something. So
yeah, and I have done some of that too. It's just not normally what I do.
Okay, and there's nothing wrong. That's the tried and true 15 and 20 and 1095 or 1080 or what those are all the combos of steels that you're doing. Yeah, when you're doing a random pattern, talk me through that process of putting that stuff together. I know it just from watching videos and doing that. So when you're layering it all together, welding it up, and then forging it out, and then to get the random pattern, are you folding it or trying to get more layers, and then whatever comes? Is that basically what the random is?
Yeah, it's just a combination of the ladder and the raindrop and all that. So you drill a few holes in it, and you cut a few gashes in it, and you're just doing random stuff. And then I've got a mill, and I just mill it out flat again and clean it up and restack it and do it again.
That's awesome. And then so you're just kind of doing whatever you feel like it, and whatever comes of it, you won't know until you get to that. You start to see it take shape on the grinder or in a etch or anything like that.
That's right. And that's the fun part to me.
Absolutely. What when you're working on the blades, I know with stock removal I can do it obviously a little bit faster. What's the time frame of if you're working on 1 or 2 blades at a time? What's your time frame on that?
From start, you just like start to finish, how long it takes?
Start to finish. Start like if a customer comes and says, "Hey, I want A, B, C, and D, this type of handle, whatever," and then you're like, "Okay, yeah, I could do that." It's gonna take 2 months, 3 months.
Oh, so I mean, as far as my backlog is a year and a half right now. But I mean, if from the time that I start on a knife until I finish it, it just, it depends. If it's a pretty standard Damascus knife, something like that, it's, I got maybe 40 hours in it, or maybe a little better than that. Depends on if, you're always going to make enough Damascus to make multiple knives. So it all depends on what I've got sitting up here on the shelf and that sort of thing too.
That's awesome. And that's awesome that you're backlogged that far, because that means you always have stuff to do. Is this your full-time gig, or is this just a hobby part-time thing?
I wish it was full-time. But it's just a hobby.
Yeah.
It's a hobby, although I often get in trouble for the amount of time that I spend out here in my shop working on knives.
Yeah, it's a juggling act where it's like, okay, I gotta get some family time in. But yeah, I'm the same way. I have a job and I do the knives, and then I have the family, and it's just like, okay, I have scheduled myself to be. You have to balance everything out, because.
Yep.
And then every time I walk out into the shop, I'm grabbing something, picking up sandpaper, and then I'm like, okay, stop. I gotta go back inside.
Yeah.
There's always something to do.
Yep.
That's awesome. So what would you say of the process when you were learning was like the one step where you were like, oh, I don't want to do this. I'm like, you were always like a little scared to kind of start the process or to do this step of the knife making.
I don't know that it was a step that I was afraid of or worried about. The only thing that has ever been an issue for me is the leather work.
Yeah, really.
Yeah,
okay.
I mean the mindset has always been around the challenge, and so if you run into something, it's just a new challenge that you have to figure out. And so that's what I've enjoyed the most about knife making. So it's been more about the not wanting to do leather work.
There's nothing wrong. No,
Yeah.
I hear you on that one. I hear you. Yeah. I hear you on that one. I know for me, it was like when I was first learning, I know grinding the bevels and doing that, it was just kind of like, okay, I liked shaping the blank and getting because, as stock removal, I'm shaping everything on the grinder instead of hammering it out. But then it was like the bevels is such an important part. That's what makes it a knife, is you have to slim down the bevels and to do all that. And now it's kind of like I get into a little bit more of a zen when I'm ready to do that, so that I can 100% focus on it. Because if I'm like stressed out about something else, then I know that's not going to go well. But that was always my thing. And then drilling holes was always a nightmare sometimes, especially I'm sure with like Damascus, I don't know what you have for tools, but I know my little Harbor Freight drill press that I was using is just like, oh man, struggling to get through some of the steels.
Well, and my favorite thing to make is the hidden tang knives.
Okay, so you have
so there's only one hole to drill.
Yeah, right at the top of
you drill one hole. Yeah, there's a lot of guys that when they make hidden tang knives, they don't even drill a hole. They just they notch the tang and epoxy it, and it's good.
Yeah, no, I think it has to have at least one mechanical structural hold for some in some way, case or because the glue is only going to hold for so long. But
that's kind of how I feel too. So the only time I don't drill a hole is if I make a through tang knife where I make a little decorative nut to go on the end of the tang. So
that's awesome. Corey said leather isn't that bad. Speak for yourself, Corey. You do really good leather work though, but not everybody can do that. Dom's asking, do you have a mill?
I have a rolling mill, and I have and I do have a very small grizzly mill that I mill out. I really just use it for milling out my my slots for the tang hole for my guards for the most part.
So to get this squared off really nice in that.
Yep. It makes it a lot easier than drilling holes and filing.
Yeah, Corey's with you on the hidden tangs. They're a lot of fun.
Yeah, they're a little bit more challenging, and it's just, like I said, it's all about the challenge.
Yeah, because that's what people don't realize with the hidden tang. And then you have a guard, and you have a pommel, and you have all these different things that you got to fit up, and everything's got to fit absolutely perfect. So there's no gapping or anything else. Like I've never tried to do a hidden tang, and maybe one day I'll have the gall to try it. But it's pretty tough. I guess if you have files and you have all that kind of stuff, you could probably do it. It's just going to take you a lot longer. But you could mill out your guards. You could mill out your guards. Well, yeah, that's what he just said. He does mill out the guards.
Yep.
P.S. Sewing machine is how I cheat. I hate hand stitching. Yeah, that got me, Corey. That's why I did that one leather sheath of hand stitching, and I was like, no. And I wasn't going to go out and buy a horse and all those different things just so I could do that. No, thank you. And for what I'm doing, the Kydex makes a lot more sense. Anyway.
Yeah, I just assume do what I enjoy and pay somebody else to do what I don't enjoy.
Yeah, I hear you on that one.
Yeah.
Dom said his first knife was a hidden tang, and it shows. the tang shows. So what machines are you running there? Are you running 2x72? You have a big bandsaw, etc.
My bandsaw is a Ryobi bandsaw. It's the same thing I had when I started. Okay. It's not the same one, but it's the same same brand. And yeah, I have a 2x72. I have a little small mill. I've got a metal cutoff saw. I have two forges.
And that's what you're doing your stock removal with, is the metal cutoff saw?
Well, I just like if I'm cutting pieces to make Damascus. So if I'm
it's like a
it's like a it's like a chop saw.
Yeah.
I've got two forges. One's a 2-burner, and that's what I do my forging to shape with. And then I have a 3-burner that I use for my Damascus, because when you add the flux to your steel, it like really messes up your the ceramic liner and all inside your forge, because it basically turns into just like lava almost, seeps into everything. And anyway, so and it's hard to get off your steel when you start grinding bevels. If you get it on your steel, it's a little hard to get off. Anyway, so the flux is it'll tend to like
and the flux is like, you describe it, because I've seen it, but I've never played with it or done any work with it. But flux is kind of like it's metal fragments that kind of seep into all the little nooks and crannies and help glue things together, basically.
Yeah, it's borax.
Yeah. Okay.
What it is. I've got some around here somewhere. But anyway, so it's a powder when you apply it, but when it heats up, it glows like a lava does. So it's just sitting there in the bottom of your forge if over time, and you have to replace the liner. And anyway, I prefer to keep the two separate.
Yeah,
so that's why I have two forges.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say I have a 25-ton press, hydraulic press, and then I have a small rolling mill. So that's pretty much all my equipment. So you do have a
press, and the press is just to kind of get everything, and then are you just hammering everything to shape?
Yeah, I hammer to shape. The press is mostly just for flattening, and then of course using it when I make Damascus.
Okay. That slag is a mess. It'll trash a ceramic belt.
It will, and it'll kind of skate too. You'll even with the angle grinder, it's hard to get it off sometimes. So I just keep them separated.
There he is, burning. What's up, Clayton? I hate the flux, but I love the flux. Yeah. Yes, he knows. There he is. Yeah. What's going on, Clayton? I hope you're doing well. I was waiting for you to jump in because we're talking forging with Adam here with Goose Creek Knives. Make sure you guys, I have pinned the website to the top of the chat, so make sure you guys are checking out his work. Just amazing work. And it's just, yeah. And I asked you this earlier, what handle materials are you using? Because some of the woods that you are working with are just absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it's mostly different burl woods. I like using natural materials. And, like you and I talked a little before, I do use some G10 and other things on some of my stock removal stuff. But for the most part, I like using different burl woods, all stabilized. Yeah, that's just, I don't know. That's, I keep talking about the randomness of things, but burl wood's very random too. And no two pieces are going to be exactly the same.
No, and it's absolutely beautiful too, because I know I've done some stuff in the burl, and like I keep going back to these pictures of some of the like that one with that burl that's in that is just, and like you said, it's so random, but it also gives a little bit of texture to the handle because it's hard to get it. You're not going to get it super smooth with the wood. You're going to have some texturing in there and some other things. So that's what I love about burl. Like I've done some like desert ironwood burl and some poplar, and it just turns out really nice. So, and like, I guess like that's bird's eye. Maybe is that bird's eye maple on that one?
That one, I believe, is redwood burl.
Which is redwood burl. So think about that.
Yeah.
Well, that one right there is beautiful.
Yeah, that one's Amboina. That's my favorite. Yeah. But it's, when you buy a custom knife, you want something that nobody else has, and the wood is part of that. And if you have, like I said, every piece is different. You don't know what you're going to get, and so it kind of adds to the customized, whatever of the knife.
Yeah. And that's what's awesome about the wood is you can have a big chunk of wood and you're cutting it up and there's still everything is going to be different. Are you buying just for wood for that specific knife, or where are you sourcing your materials from for that?
Most of the time I buy what I need for at least last me quite a while at the blade show.
Oh, okay.
I am part of some groups, some auction groups where they auction wood off and then you send it to the place in, what is it, Arizona? I can't remember the name of it right now. But they'll stabilize your wood for you. You send it to them.
Really?
K&G.
K&G. So you'll buy the wood, send it to K&G, and they'll stabilize it for you? That's awesome.
They have a website, so I mean you can check it out too.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And I don't know how much you can see behind me, but that's most of my stash of stabilized wood behind me.
Well, hold on, because you can see up on the shelf behind you up in here.
Yeah.
There's the stack of wood back there.
Yeah, I have a locker that's got this maybe, I don't know, a quarter of the way full too over on the wall.
Awesome. Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, I don't have those supplies. I do small stuff. So what's your shape of your handle? What I love about it is it gives plenty of grip, but the actual thickness of the handle itself is fairly thin. What inspired you to create that shape?
What feels good in my hand.
Okay.
You know,
yeah.
kind of, you know, I mentioned before seeing things on different sites, and you know, and I mentioned Peter Kohler. He's a big inspiration for a lot of the stuff that I kind of started doing, and you know, and I just kind of tweaked it to how it feels good in my hand, and that's kind of where it went.
Yeah, and you always kind of stick to that shape, or roughly about what it is, and
yeah, pretty close. I change it up a little bit if I'm making like a fighter Bowie, because the intent of the knife is a little bit different than like a skinning knife or a hunting knife. But yeah, in general, they're pretty close.
Yeah. Byron is asking, besides learning new stuff and challenges, what is your favorite build to do and materials?
Ooh. So I've only really named one model that I make pretty regular, and it's the Goose Hunter. And so that blade design in a hidden tang with an Amboina burlwood handle, that's all my favorites. You know,
Okay.
I don't know how much you've worked with Amboina, but Amboina even smells good.
What smells good?
The Amboina burlwood.
The Amboina. Okay.
Yeah, it just has
We
a
were just
sweet.
talking about that earlier on a live stream. What wood smells good when you're working with it?
That one's definitely it for me.
Byron, I don't know if it's the max or not. So Adam, I get made fun of all the time because I do small EDC knives. So I mostly do just little small fixed blades.
Okay.
But recently I did kind of a larger hunter kind of camp, whatever you want to classify that shape. So
okay.
I did that knife, and everybody's giving me a hard time, and everybody wants me to make one now. And it's called the Max, but that to me that's like a giant knife, but everybody else is like, no, it's a great outdoors knife.
Yeah,
So
looks like a good size.
I mean, yeah, see, you guys, everybody else says, yeah, it's great size, but I'm sitting here like, that's way too big. I like little things like this. That's what I make. Little small.
I mean, you make what you enjoy.
See, guys, leave me alone. Adam's backing me up.
Yeah. I get people pick at me sometimes because I don't make smaller knives, and they're like, why can't you make a smaller knife? That's just not what I normally do.
Yeah, see, guys, that's why I make smaller knives, because there's a lot of people making larger knives. Yeah. Probably more people making larger knives than smaller knives. So yeah, Corey, the smell of ironwood is not pretty. It's not pretty. Yeah. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I think the bloom is still, yeah, no, the bloom is my favorite, Kathleen. That'll always be my favorite little design, but that's mine. Yes, that is mine. Oh, Tim, Tobiko or bust. Ironwood will burn up a chainsaw. Yeah, ironwood is rough on abrasives
belts and everything.
And everything. It's just it just cakes up a belt so fast.
Yeah.
It's not fun to work with, but it's beautiful once you get it there. It's beautiful once you get it there, because I've done a couple, and it's absolutely beautiful. I made tiny knives. Everybody wanted me to make bigger knives, so I made bigger knives. Now everybody wants me to make tiny knives. You can't. No, Dom, you can't win. There's no winning. There is no winning. Whatever they want, they're gonna want the opposite as soon as you do it. Taking the weekend off, much good for you, Bern. Good for you, Clayton. You've been going crazy. I love the smell of buffalo horn. And Valley says, no, that doesn't even sound good. Have you worked with antler or horn before?
Yeah, it smells like burnt hair to me.
That's what I've heard. I've never actually worked with it, just because it doesn't really fit my aesthetic and my style. But people are always like, "Oh, you should use bone," and I'm like, "Yeah, but it doesn't fit my style whatsoever." Like maybe now that I have like that larger blade, I could do it, but I don't know. It's just not my thing. The smell. I like the smell of carbon fiber. Now you're just weird, Dom. That's just weird. You shouldn't be smelling it whatsoever, first of all, because that stuff is bad for you. Mock orange is the worst. Mock orange? Jim, what's mock orange?
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that one.
Buffalo horn.
Yeah.
Rough. Yeah, he doesn't like buffalo horn either, and I know Corey's worked with it.
Yeah, any kind of natural, just like antler, mammoth, anything. Yeah, it just smells like burnt hair.
I've done mammoth before. Yeah, buffalo horn smells like straight dookie. Yeah. I will take your guys' word for it. That's another reason why I don't want to work with those natural materials. I'll stick with wood, micarta, G10. I'll stick with those things. They're a little bit easier to work with too. That's awesome. So what with the process of making knives, what is something you look forward to the most?
What do I look forward to the most? I don't know. The whole process is what I enjoy. So, figuring out how to get past the next problem. I mean, that's the funnest thing to me. I don't like finishing knives, to be honest, because when I finish it, it never fails. So the day that I finish a knife, I will not work on knives the rest of that day. I don't know what it is, but in my mind, I can't get past that one for this day until I get to tomorrow, and then I'll start on the next one.
Really? That's weird.
Yeah.
I think because some people are like the handle work. They like that process because once you start to get the handle to the finish, then that's kind of when everything kind of starts coming together with it.
Well, see,
the look of the handle.
So this is the one that I'm currently working on, and now it's ugly right now. So don't. But I'm actually doing this guard a little bit different than anything I've made before, and so figuring out how to line it all up and how to get it to look just like I want it to is what I'm enjoying doing right now. I've actually spent most of the day today just on this top guard piece because that's, like I say, that's just what I enjoy doing.
Good. And so what's the process on that? It's just slowly but surely removing material so that it fits perfectly within the tang of the knife.
Yep, it's fitted properly. It's just getting it shaped so that it's it's the same on both sides, and the length of it, the length of the guard, I'm still a little bit on the fence about. So as I'm making the knife, I'm deciding if I want to cut some of that off, and just making it look the way you want it to look.
Yeah, and that's what kind of drives you. It's funny though, if you finish something, you're like, okay,
yep,
I'm done.
Yep,
I'm done for the day. I can't touch anything else.
Well, and the bad thing about that knife, so there's two up there, and it's my big project for the blade show this year. And I
Okay.
don't want to talk about it a lot. I just want to kind of, people see it as it goes.
Oh, well,
But
I'm excited now. We got to see that thing.
yeah, so those two will be a little different because I'm planning on sending the guards off and having some engraving work done on those. So I gotta they got to be done for the knife show. So I'm pushing to try to get those, try to get them done and get them sent off.
What how many are you looking to have it on your table?
I usually shoot for at least 15. Yeah, and
And
I haven't sold out at the blade show, but gradually each year has been a little better than the last year. So I just, you don't want to show up to a show and run out of knives either. So
well, yeah, I mean,
yeah,
depending.
well, it depends on how you look at it. But then in my mind, I'm thinking, well, I should have made another knife and brought it with me because there was a missed opportunity.
That's why I've never had a booth at a well, there's many reasons, but I never feel like I'm gonna be able to make enough, and then to be able to say I have to have 15 to 20 on a table for me is like daunting, and it's just, and I usually sell them before I finish them, so it's like it's tough to be able to do this. It's tough for me to even wrap my brain around. Okay, I'm gonna make this many just for the show.
Yep.
And then
I just hold on to them. I've got a few that I took to the Gator Knife Show that I'll maybe sell between here and there, and other than that, most of what I make between here and June will be for the knife show.
Yeah, I think most people right now are in that push. I know Corey is. Donnie's probably in that push. Donnie Blood, Laser Ghost Knives, because I know he'll have a table at Blade Show as well. And I know he's this guy. He's already, and he does full custom folders. So he's
okay. Yep.
He's making all kinds of stuff. I know he had like 7 or 8 at his booth or more, which with the no mill and no anything like that, making crazy folders is crazy. Have you ever thought about doing a folder?
I have. I've bought a lot of stuff, screws and parts and pieces, and I haven't sat down long enough to just figure it out.
Yeah, that's nothing that I would love to, but it's like I don't know if my brain can handle doing it. What's up, Father? Just taking things back, taking them apart, putting them back together, taking them apart, putting them back together. I don't know. Even doing removable hardware on a fixed blade is something that drives me crazy.
Yeah.
It's just something. You had 50 blades at the Gator show, Corey?
Goodness.
Jeez. Well, Corey, he's a special. Don't talk to me, Corey. You're just because he'll have 20 on the table, but he has another 20 under the table. And as soon as he sells that model out, he'll pull out something else and put it on the table. So you're just ridiculous. That's all I can say about him. You're just ridiculous, Corey. Yeah, the numbers of blades that how many blades do you finish in like a week or a month? Do you even think about it, or you just kind of go?
I'm usually it's not more than one a week.
Okay, so you can finish one in a week.
Yeah, and it goes back to is it Damascus? Do I already have some Damascus sitting on the shelf for it? All the things.
Yeah. And is it sometimes a customer build, or is it just I felt like making this knife today and we're gonna see how it looks?
It's usually I'm gonna make what I want to make today.
That's
and
awesome.
and then every now and then I squeeze in something for a customer.
Nice. Multiple folders at a time is stressful. Yeah, multiple folders. I could do multiple fixed blades. I can handle that. Actually, I'm used to doing that now. I always have about 4 to 6 blades going on at one time, but they're all small fixed blades. I wouldn't even think about doing folders with all the screws and pins and everything else, all the little 15 pieces that all go together, that would drive me insane. I think I would lose screws so many times. I can't even keep track of a pin that falls in my shop floor. I was on my hands and knees looking for a pin, a G10 pin. Everybody's like, get a magnet. I was like, it's G10. I can't just magnetize that pin. That's not how this works. Yeah, but if you guys, again, this is Adam Thomas. For those of you guys coming in a little later, the owner of Goose Creek Knives. Make sure you guys are checking him out on Facebook, and his website is pinned to the top of the chat. Make sure you guys have checked out his website. Doing really great things. If somebody is interested in you building them a knife, do they get to choose materials and the look, or do you kind of coach them through those things, or how does that process look with you?
I usually kind of coach them through it. You know, they have options, but I also you kind of look at it like I kind of have. I feel like my own style, and I if you're coming to me for me to build you a knife, I hope that you're coming to me because of my style, and you'll let me build it that way.
Yeah. So it's not like they're going to come and ask for this really strange blade shape that you just don't usually do. They're not going to come to you and be like, okay, I want a Warncliffe style blade with this.
Yeah.
Like, that's not something that you're going to do.
No. I mean, it's if I make you a knife, it's going to be a Goose Creek knife and not a, whatever. Yeah, I've had guys show me a knife and it's another maker, and hey, can you make me a knife like this? And my answer is no. I mean, that to me, that's disrespectful to the guy that actually made and designed that knife. And if you want one of his knives, you need to talk to him.
Yeah, and I agree with that. But I've pushed myself into this window of making several different type of designs and just kind of put my own little spin on it.
Yep.
But for you, and I'm going to share the site again, just so everybody can see kind of what they're looking at. You're looking at a typical hunter camp outdoors knife. I mean, that's what you do. A drop point hunter style Bowie. I don't know. What would you consider that? Just a hunter Skinner?
Just a hunter or Skinner.
Yep. Just a all around good camp knife. I love the recurve on that one with the clip. That's awesome.
That particular knife was actually a little bit bigger than than my typical knife.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like it's so much in the picture, but it is.
Yeah. And again, with the burl and all the contouring on that is just beautiful. What steels are you using for your guards?
Well,
that's brass.
All depends. Yep. Brass, mild steel, Damascus. I rarely use, I don't know if I've ever used stainless.
Which is interesting.
Yeah. Well, and so if you look at most of those guards, the ones that are not Damascus, even the brass ones are usually like darkened.
Yeah.
And that's just, that's one of my things, I guess. You can't darken stainless steel. Or maybe there's a way to do it. I don't know, but I don't know how to do it.
You can etch it if it's heat treated properly. If it's like heat treated, you can, but you're not going to get. I haven't been able to get a really dark etch on it,
right.
But like this is Nitro V, but I was able to acid etch it.
Okay.
To darken it, but that's about as dark as I could probably get it. So
okay.
So it's hard to see versus like the hand satin finish, and then you have the darkened edge on it. But that's about as dark as I could go with it. So yeah, I hear you with that. If you're going to get a nice black, then a carbon steel high carbon is probably going to be a little bit easier, or I guess you can etch it better. Is that what you're, or blue it, or however you're darkening steel?
So I like to use mild steel a lot, and you can actually,
For guards and
there's
stuff.
it's a Caswell black oxide. You buy it in a gel or a liquid.
Yeah, I've seen
and
it.
so
And it
that's
darkens it really well.
Oh, it'll turn it black. Yep.
Wow. Okay, cool. So just from mild steel though.
Mm-hmm.
See, that's awesome. Byron asked, do you primarily sell at shows and or custom book orders? What's your you mostly do what?
It's probably split pretty even. You know, because if I take 15 knives to a show and I do two shows a year and I can only make about a knife a week, you know, so that cuts down on you know, what I can do, and you know, so it's kind of split fairly evenly.
Corey, how dare you even bring that? Don't even start talking Endoraptor. I don't need to even bring Adam into that conversation. All right, so here we go. I'm going to explain this to you real quick. So I made that knife a while ago. Have you ever heard of the channel Simple Little Life, or Simple Little Life? Yeah, Simple Little Life here on YouTube.
I'm not sure.
I think he's up in, I don't know if he's up in Canada, but northern. He does a YouTube channel about knife making and everything else. And he did this pattern, and he put the pattern out there, and he invited other people to make that pattern and so forth. Okay. So I was kicking myself because I didn't do the challenge with him, but I decided that blade shape was speaking to me. So I decided to make one. Not knowing how difficult that actually was going to be, because that was tough. And then there's a gentleman in the community who was giving me a hard time about making that blade the size of that. So turning that and making it bigger. And he called it the Raptor. And for about a year, everybody in the chat would give me a hard time. And they would just start chanting Raptor to me so that I would make the Raptor. So I finally made the larger version of that knife. And this is just the wood blank of it. I actually made this knife. And then of course, that's not good enough. They're like, okay, make that with a harpoon and then a compound grind. And I was like, okay, now you guys have lost your ever-loving mind. And they called it the Endoraptor. And so now I don't know why you're bringing it. Corey, you want it? I will pass that on to you. You can have it. I don't want nothing to do with it. Yeah. So, and these guys are the ones that just keep pushing me to do stuff. Yeah. See, you guys, he does amazing work. AEB-L is hard, but it's all about multiple etches. Yeah, you can multiple etches. You can get it pretty. I get AEB pretty hard if I need, or pretty etched if I need to. It's just what happened? He's gone. But we'll do that. All right. Hopefully he comes back. I don't know what happened. Let me get caught up in the chat. I like carbon steel for bushcraft camping. I like stainless for ADC. All right, very good, Thomas. I get it though. There are stained steels that'll hold up just fine in that sense. Yeah. Matt Maurer, what's going on? Endoraptor poon. All the knives. Do you want me to time out Corey? Yeah, please. No, I'm joking. Don't time out Corey. He'll be in his own timeout if he tries to do that. Yo, Funky, I'm thinking about making a big chop version of the Ripley. A big chop version of the Ripley. Wow. Okay. Very cool. I would like to see that. Apex Carry. Hello. I don't know what happened to our friend Adam. Maybe he lost or battery died. I don't see any messages from him. So maybe he'll come back. Maybe or not. But he said if someone wants one of your knives, they should get one of your designs. Yes. Let me get caught up with the chat. He said Endoraptor. These people are nuts. And yeah, as soon as he heard Endoraptor, see, that's what happens. You guys start talking Endoraptor, you scare people away. See, this is what happens when you start talking Endoraptors. You scare them all away. Oh, there he is. Hold on. There he is. Hey, all right. He's back.
Sorry, I hit the wrong button.
That's all right. That's all right. We thought Endoraptor scared you away. That's okay. That's funny. So basically, you like that shape, that good camp knife, and that's what you're going to stick with to do. So if somebody was to wanting a custom, that's the kind of style they're going to get. Maybe a clip or maybe a recurve, maybe a harpoon on there or something. But for the most part, you're getting the typical drop point hunter blade.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, it's disrespectful to me, if to try to make a knife another guy's knife. You've got standard things like K-bars and the typical drop point design and those sort of things. But if you get into something a little different, I just prefer not to to try to make another guy's knife.
No, I understand, but I don't think it's a. I think there's so many blade shapes out there that you're gonna look like somebody else no matter what you do.
That's
They're
right.
gonna look at one of your blades and be like, oh, I saw X maker making something very similar to you, and it's like, well, yeah. I mean, it's a very common design, a drop point hunter or a clip.
Yep.
That's just, but that's the design style that if you want a Goose Creek knife, this is what you're gonna get. Natural materials, a nice guard, all of those things. So, do you do a guard on every one of your blades like
that's
that?
Right. Most of them, yeah. I mean, I do make. I've had guys ask me about making full tang knives here lately, and so I have made some full tang knives that don't have guards. But yeah, all the hidden tang knives that I make, I don't know that I've made one without a guard.
Well, it kind of makes sense, right? If you're
it does.
Tang, yeah, you're gonna put some kind of, because you have to have something there.
Well, I mean, if you think about like an integral, if you see integral knives that don't have guards on them, it's got a bolster, but it doesn't really have a guard.
Yeah,
so, but and I have, and I've thought about making knives, and I actually have made some integrals, but yeah, unless it's something like that, it's I put a guard on it.
Yeah, no, it totally makes sense, and they look absolutely beautiful when you're looking at the knife too. And it's part of it. It just becomes another part of that blade that is just, and it's a safety thing, and it just looks beautiful on there, especially with the darkening that you're doing or the brass or whatever material you're using. They end up looking absolutely gorgeous. And that's why I wanted to introduce you to the people in my chat and the channel, just because the work that you're doing is just, when I saw it last year at the Gator Show, I was just kind of like, what? This is like ridiculous. And then this year, you see it again, and it speaks to me. It is, and I'm not trying to blow smoke just because you're here, but I mean, I would go over to Corey and I'd be like, man, that guy, and even Corey was like, that guy Goose Creek, Adam over there at Goose Creek, man, you got to check out his stuff. I was like, yeah, I know. And so it's standing out into the crowd, and I wanted to get you in front of people so that they could see you. So if they want to get you one of your knives, there is a wait list. You're about a year out. So is that correct? Like if somebody wanted to get one, custom piece.
Yeah, and if you go on my website now, I do have I think I've got 2 knives on the website right now. And I do have a few here at the house that, like I mentioned before, I'm kind of holding on to at least 10 of them so that I have a good start for the upcoming show.
But you're doing that for the Blade Show, right?
Right. Time for me is short this time of the year. I work at a pulp and paper mill, and we have our annual outage coming up. So there's like a whole month worth of work that is pretty well cut short coming up here soon. So yeah, you have to just plan around it.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so this is the one that's available, guys. The Goose Hunter.
Yep.
That is the one that is available. So it is W2 steel with the Hamon. And
that handle material on that one too is really something else. It's like just really crisp, and it's if I remember right, I think that one's Weru. If I pronounce that right, WERU.
Yep.
Burwood. Yeah, and it just finished really nicely.
Yeah, look at that. Look at that, guys. That's the way you do a Hamon right there. That is beautiful. Yeah, I love the wood. I love the way they feel in the hand, guys. When I was at the show, I was able to pick some of these up and handle it. And it's just, top-notch stuff. There was another one for sale as well.
Yeah, I think there's a Damascus one on there, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, this one.
Yep.
That one.
So that one's Buckeye for the handle on that one.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And that's just a random pattern, Damascus.
Random pattern. Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to get a good. Yeah, you can kind of see it in there. That wood is beautiful. Buckeye Burl, 15 and 20, 1084. Yep. That looks really good. Love it. Yeah, there you can see the Damascus and pattern in that a little bit better. That's awesome. Very cool, man. That's why I wanted to bring you on to show everybody that, because that stuff is great. Yeah, the Hamons always speak to me, and I don't think you do it without the Hamon, right? You always have either it's Damascus or you're showing off the Hamon in some way, which sets your work a little bit apart than everybody else. I think some people just do it, but they don't include that Hamon on there.
Yeah, and and like I mentioned before, I mean that's it's a custom knife, and it's got a custom look,
Yeah. Yeah, I think one of our friends, Corey, Dan, Dan at the Gator show. Dan, I forgot what his last name is, but who Dan is, right?
Yes, Dan G.
Yeah, Dan. And he's like, it's not custom unless it has some file work on it. You got to take some file work, and that makes it a custom. And I always laugh at him because he makes some comments like that. I'm like, okay.
I guess that's his thing.
We can argue that, but there's many things that make it a custom. But he's big on the file work, and I'm not always a big fan of a lot of file work. I like a little bit of file work, and I've started to play with some file work, like doing something like that on the just on the spine, a different way of doing kind of like jimping type of thing. But I'm not big on doing a lot of file work. It's just
but I think you can overdo that.
Well, I think if you, I don't know.
That knife you just showed looked good. It's got a little bit of file work on it, and it's not overdone.
Just that's it, just that little bit, and it serves a purpose because it's kind of like jimping. We've just done it in a different way. But when you have some of these knives that there's just jimping, and some of them are done very, 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 very well, where it's just beautiful. And then sometimes you see one and it's like, I don't know. It just kind of, there's sometimes they, and I'm going to say this, and I don't mean it to be rude in any way, but sometimes it feels cheap when they do it. I see some Pakistan knives that come over and they have all this fun jimping or file work, and it's like, it has to be done a certain way for it to look good. But that's I'm not trying to be insulting to anybody, but file work has its place, but it can be overdone. Yes, it can totally be overdone, but I don't know. Like when you start, and this is not an example of being cheap or anything, but that, you get a little bit of file work like this, and it starts to go all around the handle and stuff. Then, and that's not one of mine. That's just a fixed blade I had sitting here. But yeah, I don't know. That's just my opinion. But Dan's funny. He's like, it's got to have just 30 minutes of file work changes the look of the knife. And I agree, but sometimes you get a little too carried away. But
everybody has their thing, and I have also figured out that I have made knives before, and I look at the knife, I'm like, I don't like the way this looks, but somebody will love it. Somebody will look at it and they'll say, yes, that is my thing. I want that knife.
You are absolutely right, because you never never know what you're going to put something out there, and it's just going to speak to somebody, and they're going to be like, I love it.
Yep.
Rachel, I don't think he has a channel. He has Instagram and he has Facebook. You guys.
Yeah. And the Facebook is more so than the Instagram. I've gotten to where I don't post as much on Instagram. And I actually started, so I have an 18-year-old daughter, and she introduced me to TikTok. So I have a TikTok that I post stuff on sometimes too.
Fancy. He's got TikTok now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now I have TikTok too. But yeah, so you can show him, go to his website. I have the website linked at the top of the chat, Rachel, and I'm sure you can get to all his socials from that website. I have it up right here. Yeah. Do you have everything linked on there for your?
I don't know. I don't know if I have Facebook linked on my website or not, to be honest with you. I know that my website is linked on my Facebook page.
Yeah. What is your Facebook?
Goose Creek Knives.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just Goose
for those of you who have Facebook, I would pull it up, guys, but I don't have Facebook. So that's the one thing I don't have is Facebook. And I probably
I needed that to learn how. I needed that to learn how to make knives. So
I had YouTube. That's what I did. I had YouTube.
YouTube work.
Yeah, I learned a lot from just YouTube. There's a hand for every knife and a knife for every hand. Nice, sweet pocket fiddler. That's a good way to look at it. That is a very good way to look at it. So here's a question, and I think I already kind of talked about it, but well, I have two questions. What inspires you to create designs or the blades that you make? What inspires you to do it? Or just like the design style of that?
Well, so I mentioned Peter Kohler's name earlier. If you ever Dark Timber Knives, he has an Instagram page. I think he has a Facebook page. But a lot of his stuff is kind of, like I said, kind of what I based some of my stuff on. He does some different stuff now than what he used to.
Dark
And
Timber Knives.
Dark Timber Knives. And some of his newer stuff, I don't it's not necessarily my style. Some of his older stuff was kind of some of the things that I enjoyed more about his knives. But then other than that, going to the blade show and walking around and walking by these mastersmiths tables and just looking to see what's possible and what these guys are doing, and then like I said, take that and try to figure out how to do some version of that, even if it's not exactly what you saw. Some of those guys are doing some crazy things that I just can't. I don't have the ability or the equipment to do.
Yeah.
But moving in that direction is seeing those knives and knowing that there's kind of a direction to move in is what motivates me.
That's awesome. And when you finished a project, every time you finish a project, do you still get that feeling of accomplishment that you did when you finished your first one?
I do. And I honestly, I think that's the feeling that I have when I finish one where I can't move to the next one just yet. It's like soaking in the fact that, you just put all this work into this knife and you're done. Take a break, put it on the shelf, look at it for a day, and then move to the next one.
Yep. I 100% can agree with. Every time. And the problem is they're never really done, but you get them to the point where you're like, if I mess with it anymore, I'm going to create more problems. So, and that's it's funny. I was at a barbecue with a bunch of makers, and I made a comment. I was still very new, and I was like, yeah, everybody's you're chasing that perfect blade, and they all kind of like, what are you talking about? Because it was like, there's no such thing. You will never make the perfect one. You'll always find something on every blade you make. You'll find a little something on it where you're like, I wish I would have done that better or this better. Nobody else will see it. Nobody would, but it's there.
But it's there. That's right.
It's one of those things that's why I do what I want to do, or that's what I do this for. And I have makers on this channel, and it's not just knife makers, leather. I've had leather makers, and it doesn't, if you're making something, whether it's like a wooden little turned wood piece like this, and any kind of maker, I think when you have that finished product and you can hold it in your hand and it's done, and you have that little sense of pride that you finished something, that is unmistakable, and that is something that that's what drives me. Every time I finish a product and I get to the point where I'm like, it's done, I can check this one off, I can't touch it anymore. That makes you feel good, especially when it comes to a tool that you can end up using for something. And somebody mentioned to me, it was like, yeah, I have one of your knives, and that knife is going to outlive me. So in 50 years from now, I might not be around, but that knife is still going to be around somewhere. So
for sure. And that is definitely something that drives me too. I mean, you're leaving a legacy, and like you said, one day somebody's going to pick that knife up. They're going to see the maker's mark on it. They're going to say, hey, who made this knife? And they're going to look, they're going to research it, and and so your work lives on for however long.
Yep. And that's what's unbelievable about what we do. And when, I don't know, you have your maker's mark, and it's not your name, it's just a design. And I have mine too, which is like the one on my shirt. So, and then people have to figure it out one day, but it'll be fun.
Yeah. Yep.
Would you consider trying to become an apprentice or being a member of the Knife Makers Guild and doing and putting in a blade for testing and to try to move up into that ranks, trying to become a master smith?
So I have actually. I have to date. I have passed the performance part of the journeyman test. So
that's awesome.
So, and I don't know how familiar you are with that test, but you have to make a blade that will shave the hair off your arm, and then it's got to chop a 1-inch rope, free hanging rope off with one swipe.
Yep.
And then you've got to cut a 2x4 through twice.
And then the last thing you're gonna say is the most gut wrenching thing ever. But go ahead.
Well, and then it's got to still shave the hair off your arm, and then you have to bend it to 90 degrees without it breaking. And that was, and actually, if you go on my Facebook page, I had posted that last year, or I can't remember exactly when I did it, but there's a video on my Facebook page somewhere of me taking that test and passing it. And I actually used W2 steel and heat treated just like I do the blades I make now to pass that test. So the next one is I've got to make 5 knives to submit, and I just have not done that one yet.
Thanks, Rachel. Everyone needs to hold a knife to know. Yes. Yeah, I was on the live stream earlier today, and we were talking about that test. And I was like, if you guys have ever seen the journeyman test, it's absolutely ridiculous. And when you stick the knife in the vise and you're taking it and you're bending it 90 degrees. So you're taking a knife, and this is small probably for that, and you're sticking it in a vise and you're bending that steel 90 degrees so it doesn't break, right? It can't break. That's the point of it.
Can't break.
It's gonna bend. It's gonna bend. There's nothing you can do about that, right? But it just can't break.
Just can't break.
And if it doesn't break, then you pass that portion because that's the final thing, right?
Well, so after that, you have to make 5 knives to submit to the Master Smith panel at the, one of the big knife shows. That's next. Yeah. So that's next.
So you have 5. I'd say I didn't know that. So you have to submit 5 knives to the panel.
5 knives.
And
I think 2 of them. Yeah, they just judge them based on fit and how well the knife's made.
Really? So they're just going over fit and finish and everything on the blade, not necessarily testing it at all. They're just kind of looking at fit and finish. And are they looking for it to be perfect, or they're just they're just kind of trying to find every flaw that they can find?
They're looking for every flaw they can find.
Yeah. And then if it doesn't pass, then you have to resubmit.
I can't. There's a waiting period. I don't remember how long it is now, but there's a waiting period if you don't pass before you can try again. And I think you can try up to 3 times. And then after that, I guess and I think actually there's a class you can take and actually test a 4th time. If you don't.
Oh, so you have to make 5 different types of knives. Byron is saying one of those is a Quillian dagger.
Well, that's for the Master Smith. I'm just talking about the journeyman smith. Yeah.
Okay, so just the journeyman, you have to pass the performance test.
The performance test.
You have to submit 5 knives, any knife that you want for testing, or for just judging.
For judging, they all have to be hidden tang, I believe, if I remember right. They can't be etched blades. They have to be basically hand finished. I can't remember all the rules right off, but I know that's a few of them. 2 of the knives have to be at 6 inches or more, I think. Only 1 knife can be integral, style.
Okay.
If I remember right. Don't quote me, but I think that's right.
Well, that's cool. No, they don't. I don't think they have anything like that for folder makers there, Dom. It's just the American Blade or the
That's it.
the
American Bladesmith Society.
Yeah, them. They only, I think they only do fixed blades. As far as I know. As far as I know, they don't do that. I'm sorry, I have that thing on. Sounds no, I am not. You have to forge and do all your own heat treating and everything else, and I don't forge stuff. If I tried to submit one of my if I try to submit a stock removal, no. They'll first of all they'll be able to tell real quick that it's stock removal, and they're not gonna take that. So yeah, Maker's Barbecue. What? Yeah, I was at a barbecue with a bunch of people, including Alan Foltz, which was fun. But yeah, well, I hope you get there. Are you going to submit your 5 knives, or are you kind of holding on?
Probably not this year. I've got too many of these other projects. The one that I mentioned that I'm working on, I think is going to take up most of my time between here and Atlanta. But
okay,
I'll get around to it eventually.
Got some Baker, got some copper my in there, hiding back there.
Well, not really.
Yeah, that stuff, the stuff Baker Fortune Tool stuff is some beautiful stuff. But I know that's very difficult to actually create. It's kumai.
Yep.
Have you ever attempted to do any kumai stuff?
I hadn't. Honestly, all right, this is just me. I don't like it.
Oh, okay. No,
I don't know what it is. It's cool and it's different, but it's just not my thing. I don't know what it is. I don't know.
I think like the mixture with the nickel and the copper, like the Riptide and some of that kind of stuff that they have, is pretty exciting to see. But I understand that maybe some people are like, yeah, it might be a little bit too much for me. I'm maybe more traditionalist.
Yeah, they make some good looking material, but that anything with copper in it is just not my thing.
I gotcha. Too flashy for me. Yeah, but you're probably doing it for a customer, Donnie. You probably have a customer that requested it, and I'm looking forward to seeing that. But yeah, I don't know. I would work with it. It's just so damn expensive. I'm not going to be able to buy it.
Yeah.
It's just way too expensive for me. I need to check who are you getting your Damascus from again?
Adam DeVille. It's DeVille Damascus. He's got, well, and I know you say you don't have a Facebook page, but that's pretty well how I contact him, and through Messenger. He's very, very passionate about what he does. And any help I've ever needed, you can call him up and he'll walk you through it. And matter of fact, that pattern Damascus that I told you that I made, I actually had to get him to help me with the last step because it was mosaic and I'd never made mosaic before. And he kind of helped me through that last step, so that I didn't ruin it on the last step.
Yeah, that I don't think you have a picture of that on the site. Well, you have the one blade, but that was his, right? The one with the guard.
Yeah, I don't think I ever put a picture on there of mine. I need to add that on there.
Yeah, that would be awesome. But yeah, I'm gonna have to check that out because I've done I'll pick up some Damascus. I always pick up Damascus at the Gator Show, and it's always Alabama, which they do a good job. But I would like to try a different company's Damascus just to see what the difference is. I've done Damascus blades before, but I'm obviously not forging blades or anything. So
yeah, he does some copper stuff. He likes using nickel a lot and different stuff he does, and he does some pretty cool stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I like low pattern Damascus, so I'm not go crazy with it, but I like a low pattern. I like low pattern more so than high pattern. It gets a little bit busy, but like a nice low pattern, like something like that, like just kind of a low pattern is. Yeah, I kind of like that more over something that gets super busy. But that's just me.
So this is a little busy, but this is some more steel that he made. So that's a feather pattern that he made.
Yeah, no, the feather is different level stuff. That is just absolutely beautiful.
Well, yeah, and the stuff that he does in particular, I mean, that's kind of his. The feather Damascus is kind of his thing.
Okay, well, I'll definitely check that out. Maybe I can pick up a bar, depending on how much it is. I'm sure it's high quality stuff too. So we'll have to be doing that.
Sure.
Well, this has been awesome conversation. Thank you so much for joining and doing this. I hope you guys learned a little bit about what he is doing over at Goose Creek Knives. Adam is doing amazing work. I've shared the website several times. Make sure I have it linked at the top of the chat. You guys are checking him out. He's making amazing works of art that are usable and definitely serve a function. And I wish you the best, man. Hopefully that
you too.
You get that journey thing. That the journeyman would be awesome to do that. And I look forward to hearing more about that and catching up with you at Blade Show. Hopefully I can get to your booth at Blade Show. I'll have to hit you up and get what booth you're at and make that part of my plan. I have to plan it all out. I got
you have to.
Corey, a lot there. Donnie. So I gotta, because Donnie's gonna be there. Laser Ghost Knives in the chat. He's gonna be there. He's got his booth. Corey will probably be there. So we gotta hit everybody up. Make sure I stop in, say hi to everybody, and to do that. Is there? I'm trying to think of one more question. I just had it. I think you already answered it. A maker that inspires you, but I think you already said his name, so that's cool.
Yep.
I love like Jason Knight's design style, and he seems like a cool guy. I don't know, but he's amazing.
Yeah, I like his stuff too.
Table 15U, got it. 15U. I gotta go find the Laser Ghost Knives. Gotta go find Donnie. I'll find you. I'll find you, Don's. I'll find you. But anyway, guys, I'm going to end this here. Thank you, Adam, very much for popping in and chatting with us this evening. It has been fun. Is Adam's table at the same spot as last year? Do you know if you got the same spot?
It is. I want to say it's 18F, but I can't remember for sure because I did move to a different spot last year, but it'll.
All right.
And I appreciate you having me on tonight too.
Yeah. I always like to share what other people are doing, talk to other makers, and inspires me. Conversations like this always inspire me to try to do something different. I cannot get into forging because if I start doing that, then my whole shop has to change. But thank you again for popping on. Everybody's saying thank you. I hope you guys are going to follow him on TikTok and Instagram and everything. They'll be posting some pictures, I'm sure. So thank you again, Adam, for coming on. And for all of you guys, make sure you have subscribed. You're hitting that like button. And when it's all said and done, leave a comment or not. The choice is always yours. Have a good one, guys.